Okay, we just started.
We are
So
live.
we
Yes.
are.
Heck
Yes.
yeah. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Happy Monday. It is the end of July. Can you believe that already? It's already the end of July, over halfway
Wow.
through the year. Mark, have you hit your goals yet for the year?
Let me tell you something about goals, and I don't know if I should say this, but I'm not a big believer in goals.
Really?
Is that weird? You know why? I'll tell you why. And people should always absolutely do goals. And I guess I do have goals, but I don't write them down and I don't like do the hardcore because I had a business partner, and in one of our businesses we would always set goals, and but his goals were so unrealistic, nobody would hit the goals, and it made everybody feel demoralized that they couldn't hit and achieve what they were trying to accomplish. So they're always like, in a sense, losers because they weren't achieving their goals because the goals were unrealistic.
Okay.
And so that happened for a few years, and I just felt like it backfired and it hurt the team. So that's kind of why I'm not a big fan. But I think I technically do have goals, but I don't like put them up there on the board and follow them and this, and this, if that makes sense. I just always keep busy. It's for me, it just becomes like a lifestyle. It's like working out. It's just a lifestyle. This is kind of always what I'm always working towards achieving. Um, so that's me. I don't know why. I know everybody's all about goals and this, and this. But yes, I've always, all right, this is what I want to do this year. This is what my numbers are. This is what I want to do. So it's just kind of one of those things. Okay, and I just kind of work for it, but I don't kind of like put it on the board. I don't keep looking at it and go like the goal. Yes, I'm always moving forward, but for me, it's more of a lifestyle. Just constantly keep going and keep building. But yeah, how about my goals of traveling? This weekend I was gone again, and I was gone. I've been gone a total of six weekends in a row, and then this weekend coming up, I'm leaving for Cape Town. I'll be gone in Cape Town, South Africa for 2 weeks.
Oh, so you decided
So
to go, huh?
yeah, so it's going to be, what time is it in Cape Town right now? So next week. Alexa, current time in Cape Town?
In Cape Town, it's 1:33 a.m.
You'll be doing this
So next week,
bright and early in the morning, huh?
next week I'll be on this at 1:30 a.m. Cape Town time. So, but I don't mind it,
That's
you know.
crazy.
So yeah, that's why I love it. I've been traveling. Actually, today I actually had quite a few meetings. I had a meeting yesterday up there, and I had a meeting up in Ormond Beach this morning, bright and early at 8 o'clock in the morning, and drove back down this way 3.5 hours. So,
Okay. So,
yep.
so you got this ability to travel anywhere. Why are you able to travel? Don't you still work?
Because you can do this stuff virtually. That's why I really love it. And then, when you have the passive income coming in, that's the beauty of it. You just get that passive income coming in. Sometimes I have to duke at home to grab some checks. Otherwise, it's sitting in the mailbox on some payments. And most of my stuff is automation, but once in a while, I do have checks that come out, believe it or not. So that's the only time I come back and I had 2 months worth of checks sitting in our mailbox.
That's
My
called
neighbor was
mailbox
supposed
money, huh?
yeah, it literally it was. My neighbors were going to get the checks, but somehow the communication, and I come and go to my mailbox and it was jammed.
Awesome. Heck yeah. That's the way we like it. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. If you guys are tuning in, let us know where you're tuning in from, whether you're over on Zoom or on Facebook. Over on Facebook, I did drop a link for you. If you would like to hop in here on our Zoom, feel free to hop in. This is a time for you to get your questions answered by a creative financing expert, seller financing, creative financing, whatever you want to call it. Mark is an expert at this. I'm pretty sure Mark's done a lot of deals. He's got. I'm okay. I'm gonna kind of get how like let you know how old he is. I'm 32. He's been doing it for 30 years. So, Mark, how many deals have you done?
Um, well into well over 3,000 commercial, residential, and even I wrote this book before Chat GTP came out. You believe it or not, I did it the old way, the ancient way back in the day.
There you go.
So yeah, I've done, oh God, thousands of deals, mainly residential, thousands. Done many commercial, mobile home parks. Last 12 months, been focused on those. Picked up five, kind of shifting a little bit away from that a little bit. Now looking at some development. So what I tend to do is wherever everybody else is going, I tend to go the other direction. Like, remember, everybody was jumping into the multifamily syndication, everybody. And then that kind of blowed up. And then everybody moved over to the storage facilities. That kind of blowed up. So now, I got into the mobile home park and now everybody's kind of shifting there. So I'm already in it, got in where I'm going to be. But now what happens is when they get oversaturated, then the sellers start asking crazy prices. The numbers don't work. So I just kind of shifted around. And, when you talk, I don't know if you talk to a lot of people that invested in some of the larger commercial multifamily. A lot of those guys, they're hurting.
There's a
I know a few people that I know somebody that lost $500,000 in some storage facilities. I'm like, holy crap,
yeah,
you know?
a lot of syndicators are really getting hit hard, especially because they didn't account for the interest rate changes and all that. So
Yep. And that's why they all like say, oh, I want to get out of the residential. Yes, it's good, but with residential, there's a lot more moving parts and you can create notes. I like it more. It's easy. I like teaching people how to do this in residential, but once you learn this, you can take it to commercial. That's how I've done a lot of different commercial deals. But wherever everybody's kind of going, I tend to go the other direction. Just like when people are marketing, trying to find buyers, they always like, oh, text blast, this and that. I always like to do whatever they're always out there telling you to do. You want to go in a different direction because they're all doing the same thing at that point. You don't want to shift around,
right.
However, I build up my referral source. That's what I like. So, for a while there, the text blasting was big. I remember bandit signs. Bandit signs were big. I still like bandit signs. Um, so you know what bandit signs are?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
Oh
have
yeah.
about probably 200 signs in my garage right now. They're ready to
The,
go. I could go put them out anytime I want. So
yeah, I love them. Every time I put 100 out, I get a deal, no matter what, possibly two. Every single time I put them out, it's so. But the best time I like putting them out is like on long holiday weekends, like Thanksgiving weekend is like the best to put them out like on a Wednesday, yeah, Wednesday night because the municipality they're all shut down and enjoying the holidays, and then they'll stay out there. Some municipalities will take them down like on a Monday. They all go and take them down. It depends on the area, but they do really really well. Just check with municipality, make sure you're careful because some areas like Hollywood, Florida, for every sign it's $700 fine,
woo! I know
700 for
there's
each one.
I know there's some townships and cities that will have you pay a fee that will allow you to have them out for a certain amount of days as well.
Yep. Hey, they do it with political. Yep, they do it. The only thing I recommend if you do bandit signs you've never done before, make sure you get a waterproof black magic marker and put a big X on the back side of it or something because the homeless a lot of times they'll take your signs and write on the back and use them. So just be careful of that.
Got to double side it. Write
Yep,
it on both sides.
yep. There you go. Because they
That way,
will.
that,
They'll
hey,
definitely do.
pay one of them to stand at the corner.
There you go.
That
Yeah,
might work.
I have no problem. Yeah, so they definitely work well. But for me, my best ones always my best deals come from referrals. I call them bird dogs. Trashmen, landscapers, snowplow removals. Actually, I just got somebody on a month ago, a pest control guy, and he's already sending me some deals. Um, he actually came into my place. Had to have yep, I needed a couple work done in my house, the pest control, and yeah, he's referred me deals. Um, so yeah, he's doing really well. We'll see. Well, I want to get some deals closed on it, so I'm excited. Hopefully, we get some people asking some great questions in here, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah,
Whoops.
for sure. I have a quick question about that. How do you go about training your your uh what are they called?
Bird,
I just lost
bird
the name of
dogs,
it. Bird
referral
dogs.
source,
Yeah.
referral. So I have a buy box.
Okay.
So typically I tell them, for me though, I'll just give a quick buy box, but I kind of can't tell them what my buy box is because they're not going to know. But whatever the median price range for the area is, I like to go 20% above and 20% below. So let's say the median price range for that area is 250,000. My max is going to be 300 and my low is going to be 200. I will look at things under 200, but most of the time they're going to be in war zones, and I really don't like to buy in war zones. I like nice homes in nice areas near good schools, and I like single family because when I put my end buyer, my tenant buyer in a property, I want them to stay there and stay in that community because once they want their children raised in that community. They don't want to keep moving their children around from different school to different school. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I like that. But typically, I'll tell them, "Hey, you work the neighborhood. This is the area. If it's in a war zone area, I don't want them, and if it's in the high end area of the city, I don't want them. I want where the median price range, where the middle class most people live in. So, and I'll take it if it's rundown, if you see for sale by owner sign, whatever it is, take a picture of it, like on a Zillow, text it to this phone number, and then when it comes into the phone number, then it'll go to one of my VAs. My VAs will are start doing some due diligence on it, reaching out, tracking it, doing skip tracing through Deal Machine, um, doing stuff to that, and then we'll reach out to the sellers to see if they're open to doing any type of see if they're open to selling. That's really about it. Now I'm actually doing the same thing on some development stuff. We're trying to find some multifamily stuff, so to develop, not from buying and doing value add, but certain areas of the country need housing really bad. So there's a lot of government programs at the moment for stuff like that. So, but I've also done stuff where I've done seller financing on a lot of that stuff where I didn't have to close on it. I did one deal where we put zero down and we ended up building 49 homes in there. This was like 5 years ago. Zero
Wow.
down on it. The seller wanted, we ended up doing a JV with the seller on that deal. We used there was no mortgage on it. So we took a loan out against a mortgage and did the entitlement and started out doing the first few homes and then took that capital and then on and so on. So that's kind of how we did that. We built 5 homes at a time. So that worked out really slick.
And
So, and the seller liked it.
what type of
Mhm.
net could you get from that?
The net on that one, it depends. But that one we're netting roughly about, uh, I would say about 125 to 135,000, depending per house,
Okay.
roughly on that one.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome.
yep. So every time we sold the property, the seller got his portion of it. So we did it in state. We did it little by little on that one. So it worked out really well. So we got into, and I brought a builder slash developer, and I loved it because he didn't have to put any money down. You know,
Yeah.
we used the land as a leverage, um, and then we got the infrastructure loans and stuff like that. So we did a little by little on that one. So it worked out well.
Okay. Awesome.
Cool.
All right. So we got Sarah from West Virginia. Welcome in West Virginia. We got
I
Dallas,
love. Have
Texas.
you ever been to West Virginia? I like West Virginia. The New River.
So
Have-
no, I've been to Virginia, I think.
West
Is it
Virginia.
where's
It's
West
totally different.
where's Coburn at? Is it West Virginia or Virginia? I don't know. My family my grandma's from one of the Virginias.
Is it? Well, in West Virginia, you have what's called the New River, and I think it's the only river in the country that flows north. Yeah, it is pretty nothing
Oh,
to
there's
do. I
one in
get it.
Cincinnati.
That flows north? A
Yep.
river?
Yeah, the Licking River.
Wow, that
Yeah.
many. It
Yeah,
is
it's right.
beautiful, and I get it. You got to be careful who you date in those places sometimes because you could be related to them. Seriously, Vermont's the
Well,
same way. Where I grew up. It's
Sarah is
true.
saying there's nothing to do there, so
It's that's why you do real estate. You can do stuff remotely. But I mean, seriously, like I remember like 10 years I went home. I got 24 first cousins. So I went home and
24.
you know, 24 first cousins. So I went home during this time, like 10 years ago. I went home and this girl started talking to me. She came up and started talking to me and she was flirting. And my buddy goes over, you know who that is? I go, no, that's your cousin's daughter. I was like, what? So that's what I mean. You got to be really careful.
Gotta get out of those boring places.
But at least they have technology now. They can get online. When you're growing up there in a small
Yeah.
town like that, all you do is you're playing in the river in the water hole all the time, and You keep active, but it is boring. But that's why they're online. That's why you can do That's why you can do Facebook. You can do a lot. The whole world has changed.
The
So
whole world has definitely changed. So okay.
yeah, the problem in those areas that because there's nothing to do, a lot of times people move to they switch to the drugs. That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing in some of those smaller load those communities because they're so bored and they don't know how to cope. So, but
Well, a lot of the industry has moved out of there too, so there's not many jobs in that area to really like support good housing either. It seems like so everybody does turn to drugs.
it does, yeah. I mean, and then the politicians stop the growth. Like, well, I was just up in Vermont and a huge Amazon plant in that local community all blocked it, and Amazon said, "Screw you, we're going over to the New York side." And then they lost tens of thousands of jobs they were going to bring to that area.
Yeah.
You know,
So I mean,
and
yeah.
that
So, so when it comes to the jobs portion of things, how important is that for seller financing when it comes to investing?
huge. We were just talking about that earlier today in the group, like looking at literally we're analyzing because of all the business that what the new administration is doing. They're bringing so much money in, and these new factories popping up. So one of the focuses that we're focusing on, where's all these jobs coming? And right now is the best time to jump in there to start buying some of these seller financing homes. And like, for me, I like to go minimum price, medium size, like 25,000 or within 20 minutes driving. So we're talking about it, and somebody was like, "Oh, should I do 20 minutes of where the factories are going to be?" You know, which is it's not bad, but then sometimes you got to look at it because some of these people, factory workers, don't mind driving 30, 40 minutes if they're getting like a little bit of farm. So you got to be careful of that. It's something to kind of take into consideration. But long as there's jobs there, you shouldn't have a problem with that. But that is a good guideline to follow, like within 20 minutes. But we've been really focusing on, I mean, look at you guys, how many, you guys have a few chip plants getting ready to open up in Ohio, a couple of great ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we have the biggest Intel plant coming in, and then we have a pretty large drone factory coming in,
Hmm.
and then we got a bunch of battery factories.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, always want to look at that. I mean, it's huge. Those are one of the biggest indicators. And I like especially getting in now and start buying some of these properties before some people start changing things around, before everybody comes in and pushes the prices up, and that's the other thing, I don't know if we talked about it on this, but we've been talking about it in our coaching calls. We might have talked about it, but I don't know. But my personal opinion is, this administration, I don't like to get political, but he really wants interest rates lowered. And he's been after Powell for a while, and Powell's up in 9 months. So, and I think at that point, when he's done, I think Trump's going to appoint somebody that's going to lower the interest rates. And I think once the interest rates get into 5% mark, once they dip under 6% in the mid fives, we have over 4 million buyers sitting on the sidelines right now. They're all going to come flooding into the market, so it's going to start moving the market again, which that's what he's trying to do, is getting the real estate market moving again, because it's not moving. But for me, in this strategy, I love this market. This is the best time to get in, looking for sellers that are motivated, that are not selling. Who did we is her name Jerry? She just joined the program. Jerry just came in, and she's has people that are she's reaching back out to because the homes are still sitting on the market, and she didn't understand how to have these conversations with the sellers. And now she's like, wow, I get all these different people that I talk to that are sitting there. So now she's reaching back out to all the people that she's worked on in the last few months, and she's noticing homes are still sitting on the market. So those are great, great, great. Love, like, people sitting on the market more than 3 months, expired listings. Those are great ones. Um, I like the rentals, like people that were trying to sell it, they switch it over to rentals. So that's a great way of reaching out to people. Hey, would you be willing to rent the property to us for a few years and close on it? We'll take care of the maintenance and repairs. It's a great way to finding out, like, hey, they were trying to sell it, they can't. So that's why they'll be open to like a creative seller financing strategy. It's not just subject to. I know subject to is the big buzzword out there that everybody keeps talking about, but it's not just subject to that. Subject to is just one type of seller financing strategy. And for me, I would never pitch subject to a seller that's not financial distress. So, hey, Mr. Seller, let's leave the mortgage in your name and transfer the deed over to me. they're going to look at you like you're crazy. So you need to have a tool. I call it a tool belt. You need to have other alternative strategies to be able to pitch to the seller. And you still can achieve and accomplish the same thing, control the property through contracts, get the seller signed. So there's ways of doing it. So you just got to have a good understanding how to go down that path. So you're going to say something there, Matt?
Um, no, I lost what I was thinking about. That was a,
You sound like you
that
had
was a
a
while ago.
long, nice. I get it. I sometimes I ramble on and on. You know how I can get sometimes.
No, no, no. It's good though because I do now. I remember now. Um, what what interest rate are you looking for when it comes to like if you're taking over a mortgage?
So I don't necessarily look at interest rates, but interest rates I always like to have it lower as possible. But I typically don't really look at the interest rate so much. I look at more of what the market rent is. Um, my mic didn't change or anything, right? My on the same mic? Okay, because I noticed my other monitor went out and they're plugged into the same USB. Okay. So for me, I really don't look at interest rates so much. I look at more of what the monthly market rent for that area is. That's kind of what I look at. Because I want to make sure, like we underwrote a deal a few weeks ago, and it was in Orlando, and the market rents were $700 lower than what the PITI. So that deal didn't make any sense to buy it from our point of view on the seller financing because I always like to have I always look at my risk and I always want to make sure I have a really good backup plan. So whatever the market rent is, that's kind of what I look at that area. I won't take a deal down if it's going to be like that deal. Your PITI is $700 more than the market rents. So I wouldn't touch it. So that's why you got to be careful by certain markets, like the Florida market, like the South Florida market. The numbers don't make sense. For you guys, the 1% rule, that's kind of something that we look at. And when you're investing, so the 1% means whatever the property is worth, you want to be able to get that at least in a market rent. So, for example, here, let's say, for example, and where I live, the average home price is $525,000. So 1% of that is going to be $5,200 in rent. You can't get that here. You're probably lucky to get about $3,500, $4,000 in rent. So when you run those numbers, it doesn't make sense. The rates are still too high and the price is too high. And that's all because of the inflation. But there's a lot of markets out there still where the 1% rule works. A lot of great markets. I like middle America, middle class markets. There's a lot of great markets, but the areas where they exploded during the COVID, like here, Florida, Texas. Texas still can work, but it's market by market. Florida, some markets can work in Florida. Where I live in South Florida, it doesn't. But right now, you can find some amazing deals over in the southwest side of Florida because of what happened with the hurricane went through. So a lot of people threw their arms up. And if you ever watch and pay attention to a market where a hurricane goes through, look at that city or town 5 years later. It's booming because all the money is flooded into that market, redoing and everything's brand new. So that whole entire market after a hurricane goes through is always thriving 5 years later. So that's something I always pay attention to because you can find some good opportunities in those markets. So anyways, that's kind of what I look at. I really don't look at rates, but I always um, I want to find lower rates because if the rates are lower, then your payments are going to be lower. That goes hand in hand. But I typically more when I analyze my deals, I'm always looking at the monthly payments because also like Florida, the insurance is so high right now because of the hurricane. So sometimes you have a problem in that area too. So that's something we have to pay attention. Florida market's a little challenging for seller financing, certain parts of Florida, but you still can find stuff. And then also be careful where the market got oversaturated with the Airbnbs. So
Okay.
cool.
Are you willing to analyze an area right now?
Yeah, I can.
All right. Are you able to share your screen
Well, let's see.
if
One
you
of my
need to?
monitors. Yeah, one of my monitors just went out. Let's do it.
Okay.
Here.
You got it fixed?
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Am I on it? Okay. All right. So what kind of market are you thinking of?
What do you think? So we'll do Midwest. What about Dayton, Ohio?
Right. Dayton, Ohio.
Have you ever looked at Dayton?
I haven't, but I can figure it out. All right. So, um, actually, believe it or not, I use AI all the time now for when
Okay.
I'm analyzing markets. All right. So when I look at it, here, give me 1 second. I use chat all the time now, like Dayton, Ohio. Oops, what happened here? Chat won't appear. Well, I did something. I just learned something new. Dayton, Ohio. What is the median price range for that market for housing? Okay, let's take a look at it. So what I'll do,
It's very split. I'll tell you that.
is it?
Yeah.
All right, based on the data. So it's about 200,000. Does that sound right?
Yep. You got one side that's super high, one side that's super low.
Yeah. So that's kind of, so anyway, I'm seeing 180,000 to 200,000. I kind of like that already. Right, hold on. Then what I'll do is, yeah, there is some a little higher on that. Now, what is the average rent for these markets? So I use chat. I wish I should have done it on the screen here, but that's kind of what I do there. Um, so the 1% rule looks like it's going to work in that market. So that's kind of a good sign. So what I mean by that, so 200,000, you could probably get 2,000, pushing at 200,000, probably about 1,800. Does that sound about right?
Should be. Some it depends on the area. Some of them are still a little high in some spots in Dayton.
Yeah.
So we
One
got it.
bedroom.
It's a
So
military town.
love military. That's even better. Because especially for seller financing, the reason why I like those is because people tend to they get redeployed and they buy using their VA and they do the VA eligibility. So if they bought it within the last 2 years, there's not going to be any equity there. So if they sell it, they're going to have to come to the table with money. So
Right.
they're more open to selling it like on a rent to owner seller financing. So they're a lot more open to it. You just got to be careful of the VA, what's called the VA eligibility. Um, so let's say it's $500,000 that they have a VA eligibility that they can purchase property. So if they've used 200,000 of it, then they have 300,000 left over. So they can't buy a house more than the 300,000. So you got to be careful of that. But like you take Washington D.C., it's $2 million for VA that they'll go to. So it's market by market. So on that. All right. So what do you want to know about like that when you want to talk about the numbers for the area? I kind of just did off ChatGTP real quick, but is there something more that you want to know?
Yeah, let's just what type of rents should I expect there?
Looking at
For seller
this,
financing. Because I mean, if I can get a home for just like say a 1,200 bucks a month is the mortgage I gotta cover, right?
yeah, I'm looking at it. You probably get it based off of the quick glance of ChatGPT. I use it anywhere between roughly 1,800 to 2,000, maybe 2,100,
Okay.
probably depending on what the house is and the bedroom and the location. But I'd say anywhere between 1,800 to about 21, 2,200 in that
Okay.
area. So whatever the market rent is, okay, you can go. What I found, you can go about $200 more,
Right.
squeezing it. So if I'm buying a property through a sandwich lease option, whatever that market rent is, I want to go 250 below it. Let's say it's $1,500, right? That one that could do really well. So if the market rent there is showing 1,500, well, actually 1,800, I was looking at that. So 1,800. So I'll go about 250,000 or 250. So I'll try to negotiate about 1,600, 1,650 with a seller if I'm buying it on a rent to own type of situation. And then I'll try to get about 2,000 to $2,100 so I can cash flow $500 a month off of that on a sandwich lease option. But if when I'm running the numbers on that and purchasing a property, um, you would probably cash flow about 400 roughly in that area. So even more than that. I mean, if your PITI is lower, yeah, you'll be actually cash flow. Let me bear with me. I want to run the numbers on that. Like let's say 100 financing. That sounds about right. What you're saying about $1,200 a month to on a PITI, roughly $1,200 to $1,400 a month. So you could
Yep.
cash flow about $500 to $700 a month in that market.
Okay.
Those are good markets. And that's
Yeah.
because of the 1% rule. I just did that quickly off the top of my head because I know the market and the numbers. But that's the type of market. Now, where I'm at, those numbers would not work. You'll be a flip-flop. Your mortgage will be a lot higher than what the rents are.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah. No.
that's
So
why.
some
Mhm.
some of the area, like some of Dayton, you can still get houses for like 20 grand, and then some of it is like 5 to 700,000. So it's it's only an hour from Cincinnati and it's an hour from Columbus. So
What's the population?
uh I don't know. ChatGPT will have to tell you that.
That's what I'm gonna do. All right, let's see. I'll go right in there.
I would do
What's
the MSA.
what's the MSA for this area? All right, let's see here. Do, 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 do.
500,000?
814,000.
800? Okay.
Yeah. How about Dayton, Ohio itself? What's the population? Yeah, it's a pretty good population for that area. Um, I mean, 137,000. It's still a good size.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm thinking like Dayton, Cincinnati, and Columbus is going to be the next like Dallas, Fort Worth area.
Isn't there a plant, one of the plants going there?
Yeah, so the the chip plant is going in Columbus. The drone factory is going in south of Columbus, and then between Columbus and Cincinnati, which will be halfway in between, like it's like kind of like almost like halfway in between. Even Dayton is the battery factory.
Is there any new jobs coming into the area that you're aware of? Part of this whole like chips or anything like that? Let's see. I've been using chat analyzing stuff like you and like crazy lately. It's making things so much easier.
Yep.
All right, let's see here. Here's what I found. 500 million for electric vehicle. E-Volt is coming there,
Okay.
near the airport.
Of Dayton.
Um, yeah,
Okay.
500 million. It's going to create um, initial 2,000 jobs and then another 1,200 jobs.
That's not very many, but
All right, Intel is bringing 28 billion. Lick County, New Albany, where's that? Is that far?
that's on the other side of Columbus.
But how, it's still close to that area, right?
About an hour and a half.
Oh, it is. Okay, that's going to
Yeah.
bring in 7,000 jobs.
Yeah. It's
So
huge.
that's another, yep. So that's another market. I mean, just you can go through all this. Like, there's going to be another 4,000 jobs going into um Pick Pickaway County. What was
Pickaway
that? Pick
County.
County?
Yep. Yep.
How far is that?
That's probably about an hour.
All right. So there is quite a few jobs. So they will drive in certain areas. So there's a lot of job growth getting ready to go in that area. 3,000. Wow. Jesus. Just looking at all the different jobs coming in that area. It's a good market. I mean, if you can buy a home under 100,000, I'm not
uh, I mean, you can go on Facebook Marketplace and get a wholesaler selling them for 30. So,
really.
well, so you get it's on the west. Those are on the west side of 75. Anything on the east side of 75 is good.
All right. So is it a war zone considered?
But yeah, part of it. The
All right.
crime's not
So
like crime in Cincinnati is higher, but it's nicer in Cincinnati if that makes sense.
then this is what I would do from that point. What is a Section 8 voucher, Section 8 that they'll give for a two-bedroom and a three-bedroom for this area in Dayton? Because that's where I would typically do some. Oh, wow, it just showed the drone photos, a huge drone. I didn't scroll all the way down, I just saw it the last second. All right, so you can get a two-bedroom, 16, almost 1662, a three-bedroom, 1750. So you can actually, yeah, even Section 8 is good. So those are some of the things. If it's a war zone, I look at Section 8 because Section 8, yes, they're a little bit more dirty, but it's guaranteed money and you can hold that over time and as it shifts. But one of the things is because they don't want to lose their vulture, their Section 8 on that. So that's one of
Well,
the things I like about that.
one thing I do know about Cincinnati, I don't know if it's the same about Dayton, but Section 8 is terrible about inspections.
What
They
do you mean?
they're so hard on the landlord. It's like
Really?
they want you to have like a like an A class for the Section 8.
Hmm.
Like even if it's something that the tenant did, you have to have it fixed, So like if they it's just kind of frustrating. So
Yeah. Mass is like that. Yep. Yeah. Sarah, you lived in Mass? Whereabouts? I used to
awesome.
spend
And
my
guys,
summers up
feel
there.
free to ask your questions.
Sorry,
I don't
I was on mute.
No problem.
I actually am originally from Western Mass, like around the Westfield area,
Okay. How far is that from Springfield?
about a half
Okay.
hour west, basically, between Springfield and New York border, basically.
Got it. Okay. Yep. I got some property. Is it Pittsford or Pittsfield? I have
Yep.
property up there. Yep. I bought a property. That one came from a hospice nurse up there.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yep. So
Yep, I
I
know
got that.
Pittsfield.
Yep.
Mark doesn't even
So
know where it
that
is.
one I did. What's that?
And you don't even know where it is. You got so many you don't even know where it is.
I know it's Western Mass. That's all I know. It was a nice home actually. Beautiful. It was actually beautiful. It was a really nice home. I would have definitely lived in it. So I bought it. I got that one with zero down and 2 months of no payments.
Mass isn't like a landlord friendly state though, right? Like even when I lived in Mass, I was investing in Tennessee,
Yeah,
and
I
now I'm in
no.
West Virginia, so trying to learn a
Yeah.
whole new market.
Yeah. So on that one, because it's not landlord friendly, I sold that one on a seller financing. Um,
Gotcha.
also because that one needed a new roof, and I sold it to the seller. He was a roofer, and it needed $30,000 worth of work. So I sold that one on a seller financing. I wrapped it. I bought it in subject to, sold it to him on a wrap, and I'm cash flowing. That one I'm cash flowing really well. I'm cash flowing almost $1,400 a month on that deal.
Yeah, the
So
entry fees are probably pretty high though, no, to get in on something I'm asked right now. It seems like it's so expensive there.
yeah. That one I got with zero down and 2 months no payments on
Was it
that
a
one.
long time ago though? Or
Uh,
recently?
4 years ago.
Oh, yeah, I suppose even in 4 years it has, this
Yep.
prices
But
have skyrocketed.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely gone up. Um, because I told him, yeah, he can pay it off. But I wish he would pay it off. I have a lot of, I did really well in that one. I not, I, what did I do? I think I'd have to look, but I think I added $90,000 to the purchase price from what I bought it for. Might even
Wow.
been more than that. Yeah. So, and he put a new roof in, and he put, I want to say, I think he put 25 or $27,000 down on that deal. So I made money. I got him zero down, and I got money on the front end on that deal.
Wow.
And
That's
yep,
awesome.
yep. So, but because he's a roofer, it's weird because really nice guy, but he doesn't do well in the wintertime. So he'll struggle making payments during the winter. He'll
Yeah.
go like 2 or 3 months without making payments. But then all of a sudden he will make those payments plus 6 more months in advance. So he'll pay like 9 months at once, and then he'll wait, and then he'll end up going like 2 months behind. So it's like, but I just leave money sit because the way he is, I just leave money sitting in there because I have such a big cash flow spread on a deal, and it works.
Yep.
Um, but because I know, and I tell him he tries to pay in advance, so it works. Like sometimes he'll pay in advance, and then sometimes he'll go 9 months without making a payment. Then he'll make a whole year, like that type of situation. It's weird, but it works for me.
Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions while you have me?
Absolutely.
On contract for deed, I did two land deals and I was actually working on a third one, that fell through. But anyways, on contract for deed, Um, how do you know? I guess I never really thought about this because I've bought on contract for deed and then basically did like a double close and sold to an end buyer. But how do you know if there's a clean title from the person that you're financing from to be able
I
to
always get,
sell to the end person?
I always do a title search on it with a title company. I'll pay for it, a couple $100.
Okay. Both
You know,
times were just like I gave a down payment and we did a private contract and I never used like an attorney or a title company.
yeah. I still, if I'm buying it, I want to make sure. You can also look at public records too. A lot of days, at least you can go on to county records and see what else is on the title.
Okay.
But typically, I am also making sure the title's clean. I just want to make sure there's nothing there. But I mean, I've purchased properties with liens over, with those in there. I don't have a problem with it, but I need to make sure, like, I want to negotiate that in my numbers if there's issues on the title.
Okay.
You know, I purchased another one in Massachusetts where there was an IRS lien that was on the property. And I took that, and then what happens is after 10 years, the IRS lien drops off in up there in Mass, and about it was 8 years into it. Now, technically, the IRS could refile it and have it extended, but they didn't do it. I just kind of rolled the dice. The numbers worked either way, even if they were going to have it in on place or not, but it dropped off with the IRS lien. So I'll buy properties like subject to those liens in place. It just kind of case by case, and then I'll also try to negotiate later on, try to pay some of those off. But you can look on public records a lot of times, see if there's any other, if the title's dirty. But I had a situation where I purchased a property in Jacksonville once. You want to talk about, and lucky I did use a title company on this one. If I didn't, and I went through without having anything done on it. So the lady, it was a husband and wife. I was working on it. He was sick, and she knew she wasn't going to be able to afford the property after he passed. Well, he passed, and she went and sold the property over to me, and or I think they both signed. Yeah, they both signed, and then 5 years after the fact, after I purchased it, I fixed it up and sold it off traditionally. Um, all of a sudden, heirs came out of the woodwork that they weren't married. She didn't have the right to sell that property.
Oh boy.
But it went through two title companies. It went through mine and then my end buyers. So two different title companies didn't pick up on it.
Wow.
She yeah. So but the title insurance picked and covered that. So all right. So that's one question. What's your next questions? I have
Oh, well, while I got you too, I wanted to say I just finished your book and I want to say great book. I'm glad that you mentioned the 50-30-20 rule too, with like, trying to get out of debt and also invest kind of thing, because I think that was like, important and was
Mhm.
very helpful. Um, do you know in West Virginia, it seems like there's verbiage about that you can't like you basically as a seller, you are responsible for like maintenance on installment contract, they call it. So what would be the workaround for that? Would that be like I would have to do a lease option, or like should I contact an attorney and ask that stuff maybe?
Yeah, I would double check that. I'll throw it in the chat GTP, but I would double check with the attorney. I have not done a deal in West Virginia, so I can't answer that one.
Okay.
But I would always run it through an attorney. But you can still spell it out in your contracts and agreements. Um, just
Yeah,
know, yeah. Sometimes, I've done that situation where yes, the law says, if it ever went bad, I'm responsible for it. But I've had put it in the contracts, and the buyer thinks they're aware of it, which is in contracts, and so you'd have to. And then it also depends on if you got in front of a judge and how that would look at. But what I would typically, and I'm telling you, I'm not an attorney, but this is what
yeah,
I would probably do. I would want to know what I'm responsible for on it, but I would still try putting it in my contract with my buyer and let them handle it.
okay,
And majority of the time, I won't have any issues. But if it goes bad and I know that I could be at fault with it, I would try to negotiate outside of going through the court if it goes bad, like cash or keys or something like that. That's what I
okay.
would do.
I had asked in like one of the local real estate groups here,
Hmm.
and they were like, "Oh no, we do it all the time." But and someone said to private message them to get more details. I did, and they never responded, but they did say that they do it all the time. And they said that the contract is what determines, who's responsible kind of thing, that the contract overrides that. But I don't know.
Typically,
It
yeah.
seems
Typically, however the contract is written, that's what they're going to follow.
okay.
Um,
That's what
I
they
had
said
a
too.
yeah. So but speaking of Massachusetts, I get my butt handed to me because I sold it at a lease option, and we're evicting, and my attorney was horrible. So we had a lease agreement, and then we had a purchase and sale agreement, and purchase and sale agreement stated that they're responsible for maintenance and repairs, which was perfectly fine. You just got to be careful, because if you have somebody put too much money into a property on a lease option, like if they have to fix it, and then it could be, you could be viewed as predatory, if they're putting like all this extra money into a property, like 50, 100,000, and they technically don't own it or have control of the deed. So you got to be careful of that a little bit. But in this case is um, in the agreement, they're responsible for maintenance repairs, and they stopped paying. Well, I could have gave them $10,000 to leave, and my attorney said, "Oh, you know what? We'll get them out, no problem." Well, when in Mass, in some of these states, when you go to evict, they automatically get legal aid. They get an attorney that the state will pay for.
Yep.
So the tenant's attorney knew exactly a lot better than my attorney. So we're going in there trying to evict based off the lease agreement. So the other attorney said, "Hey, you know what? Since they're going in there and evicting off the lease agreement, can we throw out the purchase and sale contract and let's just do the lease agreement?" And my attorney's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, we could do that." So and the judge signed off on it. Well, once they did that, then all the maintenance and repairs and stuff that they were responsible for, then it became landlord tenant law, and I got stuck. All of a sudden, they came up with $26,000 of receipts that they did repairs on. So at that point, then I got stuck. I had to reimburse them all that money for the supposed repairs, because
Wow.
that purchase sales contract protected me. But once they threw that part of it out, and that's where I got my butt handed to me on that one. So make sure that you have an attorney, and make sure that is good. And my attorney got his butt, because typical in a lease option, you want to go in and just do the eviction and get them out as quick as possible. And that's what they were trying to do. So that whole portion didn't work in my favor because my attorney wasn't good.
Yeah. Okay. Last question, if you don't mind. Have you ever done where you buy like land on seller finance and then put something like a mobile home on it and then flipped the two?
You can do that. Absolutely. I've done that years ago. I have done it, but it's been well over probably 15 years, about 15, 20 years ago. It's something, it's been a long time that I've done it, but I have done those.
Okay.
It's one of those where you can get in low entry when you kind of do stuff on back on that time. Yeah, I've done stuff like that. I've done it where I had I bought a land on seller financing and subdivided off and put like a double wide on the other part and carry the note over there on that one as well. So you can do different things like that. Absolutely.
Okay.
That's the beauty of why I like creative financing, because you can structure ways and make ways and how to do stuff all the time on that. So back to what you're saying on the other thing, I would highly recommend if you're going to do that in your state, speak to an attorney that knows that type of contract well,
Okay.
that can kind of help you and guide you through that on that in that state. I always recommend, if you're going to do a lot of business in that state, always just run it through counsel. But most of the time, your contracts should protect you.
Okay.
But again, contracts, if you go in front of a judge, you're going to be viewed as a big bad wolf type of thing. So you don't want to be viewed as a predator. Just be careful of that. If they don't have equitable interest in the property, and that you have them put all this money into it, that's where you just got to be careful of.
Would it be worth me contacting an attorney and having them basically give me like a blank like say contract for deed that I can use going forward, like pay them to write one for me?
It might make sense if you're going to do a
Okay.
lot of business. If you don't have the capital at first, maybe do a couple deals. Just be, you're kind of, the speed limit is 55, but you're doing 65, 70, that type of situation. You
Yep.
know, you might want to do a couple deals, and then maybe take that capital, maybe put it into some contract stuff. But there is some outlines out there you can follow. A lot of that will kind of get you protected somewhat. But again, I'm not an attorney, but
Yeah.
at some point when you start making some money, then that's something you might want to do. But chat GTP nowadays can really do a lot of good stuff. Kind of ask some of those questions on it.
Okay.
But again, if you do a contract and it's that your intent is there to make sure everything's good, you should be okay on that. But I've never heard that on a contract for deed, agreement for deed, because um, it's considered like seller financing. A lease option one might be a little bit more. A contract for deed seemed like that would protect you more in the maintenance and repairs than a lease option because it's a lease agreement versus an agreement for deed. They have more of what's called equitable interest on that
Okay.
or contract for deed.
Okay.
So I never heard of that. So you're saying contract for deed in West Virginia that is the seller. Give me one second. I just want to curious on this
It's
one.
well here they call it a land or an installment contract.
Yep, that's how we do it in Florida. Yep.
In
Okay.
2024, it looked like that they made some changes to it.
In 2000. All right. So in West Virginia, an installment sale on a an agreement, can the seller pass the maintenance and repairs on to the buyer in West Virginia? Let's see how this is worded. I'm just curious. Let's see here. Under West Virginia, there's a code there, installment sale, obligation under the contract requires contract terms. Contract must indicate notice stating vendor repairs, maintenance of the property through the contract term. The vendor must repair.
Yeah, and I think they deemed the seller is the vendor. That's why I was like, that's defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah. Who was the vendor? I'm curious on this. The contract of West Virginia installment sale contract, also known as installment sales agreement, the contract for deed. Vendor refers to the seller. All right, so let's see how this is. So something must have happened when they changed the law. Like they took advantage. That's usually what happens is one bad investor doing a bunch of deals, taking advantage of something, and then they change the laws. So it goes back, most of the time it goes back to the intent. All right. In short, the seller cannot ultimately pass the maintenance and repairs duties to the buyer and such needed voluntary in such contract. Now, what you could do also, I've seen this happen. Like I've done this, I've seen this in lease options. Let's say, for example, you are doing a 5-year term and you want $250,000 for the home. Okay.
Mhm.
You could technically bump up the contract saying I'm going to do it for 275,000 and I'm going to give $25,000 back towards the for maintenance and repairs on the property. I've seen that
Okay.
before. That's you could possibly word that in there to kind of help you out with that stuff. I get, hey, look, I gave them credit towards that $25,000. I've also seen it where, let's say you want $2,500 a month in rental income, but you put on the agreement $2,700 and giving them credit back $200 a month for maintenance and repairs. So you can kind of just move your numbers around a little bit. Again, I'm not an attorney,
Yeah.
but I've seen that done before to kind of offset. So you're saying, hey, technically I wanted 275, but I came down $25,000, so they could, over the term that goes towards applied towards maintenance and repairs. So that would help a little bit. Again, I'm
Okay.
not an attorney, but that's something might want to speak to an attorney about or something like that. But something must have happened where they put that law into place. That's usually what happens.
Yeah, I guess it explains why I didn't see very many people doing it, and I was actually shocked when I got that reply that there is people doing it on that real estate investment group. So, but I've never seen
Again,
anything like that before, so it's interesting.
yeah. So what I would do is I would talk to an attorney and I would like also said like, that strategy, what if we did this? Because usually when they put these laws in place and all that stuff, there's usually workarounds, just
Okay.
making sure that, they just, like I said, like that one, adding an extra to the price. But again, I'm not an attorney, but I've seen stuff like that written out in contracts and you're crediting them $25,000. Normally you'd say, hey, I wanted this price point.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
good questions.
Thanks.
Awesome. Now, real quick, if you guys have learned something tonight, whether it is about seller financing or how a market is, you can determine if a market is good or not, so on and so forth. Mark does have a mentorship where he's helping a lot of people grab their first deal, or he's helping people that have their first 2 to 3 properties and they're tired of putting 20% down all the time. And he's helping them get to the next level, get to the spot to where they can go in and get a property and scale like he's doing while he's on vacation somewhere, working from nowhere or from somewhere that is not his own home or even in the United States. He helps you understand the systems and processes by doing in his mastermind. So I'm going to drop a link. It's a just schedule a call. It's a 15-minute call with no sales, just to see if it's a good fit for you. It's a good to see if it's a good fit for you and if you're a good fit for us. We want to make sure that we can service you and make sure we can actually help you. Because if you, like, I'll be honest, if you don't have any money to invest, any money in your reserve account, it's going to be tough. You got to have money to do some real estate. Um, what do you think about that, Mark? Do people need money a little bit?
Yeah, you need some for reserves. You need a little bit, not a lot, but you definitely need some. You don't need tens of thousands and thousands of dollars, but you need some um basic stuff to kind of help, just in case. But yeah, you can't have zero in your bank account type of situation. You need a little bit there to kind of go through that process. But absolutely, there's ways going through it. But I'm excited all about it. So um I'm curious of Sarah's question there. I would just want to ask ChatGPT about something like if you credit it back, how that would come back. Because
Yeah,
those are the things I love. Like when there's a new thing that comes up and like something like that, I love figuring the workaround, how to get through stuff like that to kind of making sure it's a win on that one. So, but
yeah, for
yes, you
sure.
definitely, Matt, to what you're saying is on that. So, but yeah,
Yep. So
anyways,
I dropped the link in both chats down over on Facebook and Zoom. So go ahead and fill out that. Just schedule a call. You'll schedule a call with either Alex or Reese. They'll just ask you a few questions and see if you're a good fit and if we're a good fit for you. We just want to make sure that you are ready to go and we can actually help you. We got 2
cool.
minutes, Mark.
Yep. So I just want to answer Sarah's question. I add that in there. So what if I added credit $25,000 to the purchase price and made this first? Yes, this can be with strict conditions. Both the vendor and seller have separate legal representation. Um, Something the contract must clearly spell out the buyer accepted the maintenance and repairs written. So if the credit $25,000 off the purchase price explained to the state, written contract, both parties, separate lawyers. Hmm. The language is clear. So you can do that, but they want to make sure that the other attorney represents and make sure the clause. But as long as you have a buyer, I don't see any problem on that if you explain it to the buyer correctly. So that is a workaround. Those are the things I like. So, but yeah, another great session. So Matt, I think next week when I'm on, I may have some bags under my eyes.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
I will be. I'm looking forward to it. So it's gonna be winter, you know. Alexa, current temperature in Cape Town. It's gonna be
It's currently 60 degrees in Cape Town.
okay. It's not bad.
Yeah,
60.
it's like 90 here, so and humid.
Alexa's upgraded to AI. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Yes, Alexa has been upgraded to Alexa Plus, which uses advanced AI technology. This new version offers more natural conversations, better understanding, and can help with a wider range of tasks. It's designed to be easy.
All right, Alexa, enough.
Alexa Plus. There we go. All right. So go ahead and schedule a call, guys. Hop on a call with us and see if we can help you out. We want to help you out. We want to help you get to the next level and help create financial freedom for your family. So,
You're well, people. Have a good night.
guys.
Thank you
Thank
guys for
you.
joining. Thank you. Bye bye.